South Africa's most famous rhino breeder is now facing 55 charges in what prosecutors are calling a multi-million-dollar horn trafficking syndicate. Today we're unpacking that shocking case, the political storm at SA Tourism, and a crime survey that shows just how deep the trust gap with our police has become. Plus, in the Wildcard, we retell the epic story about how Carling Black Label earned its nickname Zamalek. My friends, if you're enjoying the show, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. So when the story first broke, it sounded impossible. I mean, South Africa's most famous rhino breeder accused of being the mastermind in a 250 million rand horn trafficking ring. And honestly, that's why we waited. It just felt too unbelievable. But now, after a week of court hearings and updated indictments, the picture is clear. And it's every bit as shocking as it sounded. So 83-year-old John Hume, once hailed as a conservationist for breeding more than 2,000 rhinos at his Platinum Rhino farm, is now facing 55 charges, including racketeering, fraud, theft, and money laundering. Prosecutors say that he and 5 others used fraudulent permits to move nearly 1,000 horns into illegal markets in Southeast Asia. A 7-year Hawks investigation traced everything from forged paperwork to unreported rhino deaths, and the group now faces trial in December. So here's the catch here, and I didn't know this. In South Africa, it's obviously illegal to kill a rhino for its horn, but it's not illegal to sell the horn of a dehorned rhino after it's been sawn off, provided you have the right permits. Now, that compromise here was meant to help fund conservation while keeping rhinos alive. But critics argue that this whole system is built on quicksand. I mean, think about it. The moment that these horns can move legally inside the country, they can just as easily be siphoned into the black market abroad. And that's exactly what this case seems to expose. So here's what's just happened. Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille has dissolved the board of SA Tourism, which is this public agency that markets South Africa to the world. So in practice, the people that are tasked with overseeing this organization, keeping its leadership in check, and ensuring that tax money is used properly are gone. And let's just say the timing was explosive. I mean, just 2 weeks earlier, that very board had suspended SA Tourism CEO Numbulelo Guliwe over allegations that included a multi-million rand prepayment for work that investigators say was never done. Now, Minister de Lille insists that the board was dissolved, and I'm not kidding here, because it held an irregular meeting without a chairperson, and says that her decision was based on legal advice. But former board members and groups like Alta and SATA argue that this is really about shielding the CEO from scrutiny. So why does this matter? I'll tell you, it's because tourism in South Africa isn't just some afterthought. I mean, it supports roughly 1.6 million jobs, almost 9% of our GDP, and is one of the few industries within our country with real growth potential. And now with the G20 Summit coming up and peak travel season ahead, the sector needs stability and credibility. Instead, it's now caught in a governance battle over whether accountability or politics is running the show. And not the best news, I have to say. Stats SA has released its latest crime survey. And while the numbers are worrying, they also shine light on where things need to change. So housebreaking remains the country's most common household crime, with about 1.5 million incidents last year. Yet, interestingly enough, fewer than half were actually reported, often because people don't believe that the police will act. The survey also found that theft of personal property hit 1.3 million cases, but again, only about a third reached the police docket. Murders, meanwhile, were reported by 60,000 households, while 360,000 people said that they were assaulted. And in most violent cases, weapons were involved. But the real insight here isn't just how many crimes happened, it's how few got reported. If people don't trust the system, then official stats will always understate reality. And then as a result of that, policy won't match lived experience. Because right now, approximately 36% of South Africans feel safe walking at night. And so closing that trust gap may be as important as cutting crime itself. And before we cruise on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, the Two Oceans Marathon has confirmed a new date for April 2026 and have signed Stillwater Sports as their staging partner. After this year's fiasco saw thousands left without medals, the city pulling its sponsorship and its chairperson resigning. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber says that South Africa's borders can't be secured on a shoestring budget, urging more funding for the Border Management Authority. He warns that without this investment, illegal crossings and illicit trade will just keep slipping through. And PSG founder Yanni Mouton's trust has offered 7.2 billion rand to buy out Curo's shareholders and turn it into a non-profit. Now, the plan here is to reinvest profits into schools and bursaries. Curo's shares jumped more than 50% on the news, and I'll likely cover this in more detail in tomorrow's show. And on to our Bagel Bite of the day. Let's see what you got. Easy one coming up. The question is, who invented the telephone? Was it A, Thomas Edison, B, Alexander Bell, or C, Nikola Tesla? Bonus points if you know in what year it was invented. And on to our wildcard section. I told the story back in the early days of Daily Bagel, but now that we're in the new studio, I have to retell it because it's one of my all-time favorites. And honestly, every South African should know why we call Black Label Zamalek. So back in the 90s, Egyptian football giant Zamalek SC came to South Africa and knocked Kaizer Chiefs out of the CAF Champions League. And they didn't just knock them out, they decimated them. Now, at the same time, calling Black Label was earning a reputation for being dangerously strong, like way stronger than your average beer. And so the joke started. Zamalek knocks out the Chiefs, Black Label knocks out you. I mean, people started saying, hey, that beer will Zamalek you, like it was less of a drink and more of a hit to the jaw. And from there, the nickname just stuck. Half banter, half warning label. So in shebeens and bars across the country, Black Label became Zamalek, a drink with a reputation for being big, bold, and not to be taken lightly. The beer's identity grew so tied to the nickname that SAB themselves eventually embraced it in campaigns, turning what started as slang into a part of the brand's own lore. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is Alexander Bell. He invented the telephone way back in 1876, and what most people don't know is that his first call only traveled a couple meters, but it was from that tiny step that the entire global telecoms industry was born. And my friends, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our final Daily Bagel show of the work week. It's going to be a goodie. I'll catch you guys all then. Cheers.